One of the things we covered in the intermediate class this week with Dr. Onier is called an incomplete walk-up. The progression is dead simple. It's 4-5-1. But the bass movement is 6-7-1. So you get this quality. Obviously, you can play this in inversions. Or you could play the presentation we learned of it was this way because it fit a particular song. And it's as good a way to start as any. You can obviously do this. You could also do this. Leave out that doubled note and get a drop 2 sound, which is quite nice. Or you can add the second and get that moo quality. You can even mix and match. I like this. Notice I kept this note from a G. This is a very useful thing. You can do all kinds of things with it. I found that I was playing with every time I see Feel a Spirit, which the melody is. And I decided to use this to harmonize that melody. The melody begins in B flat, goes to an E flat, the pickups are in B flat, goes to an E flat, the 4 chord, then goes back to B flat. So what I discovered was if I do a walk up to E flat, I have an A flat, and now a B flat, right? And now an E flat. But now I'm going back to B flat, so I'm going to have this walk up. It's a very nice sound, right? And these are the kind of voicings I like for it. I love the 6 chord, so I tend to use it a lot. It's not necessarily a gospel thing. Some people use it, some people don't. Some people stick more to triads, or they'll use, this sound as opposed to what I just did. Okay. Taking this around the cycle in the fourths, in ascending fourths, creates some very interesting movement. So what happens is, if I'm going to C, I'm going to start with this F. F, G, C. But now watch what happens when I go to F, which is up a fourth. C, F. Now when I go to B flat, I'm going to have the same thing happen because I'm going to be on an E flat. And now going to E flat, A flat, A flat, B flat, D flat. And so on. So you can take that around the keys, and it's a very good idea to take it around the keys. The other thing that I've started working on this week as a result of some of these things we talked about in class is trying to move triads around up and down major scales as well as melodic minor scales. Melodic minor scales are a little more difficult because I'm not as familiar with them as, moving chords up and down melodic minor scales as I am moving chords up and down major scales. But get the major scales together first and then work on the melodic minor scales would be my advice. It's not as easy as you think it's going to be. Sure, in C it's easy, but once you get into any other keys, and if this is a problem, it's a problem that should be solved quickly, right? This should not be a difficult thing for you if you're a piano player, right? And so it was humbling to me to find out that, whoa, I don't have this together as I thought I should. Right? And then obviously that. look at that one, right, just to be sure I got everything, all the spacing right, which is fine. And when you're learning it, look at it, right? Then you can also do some other things. You can start, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play with it as drop 2, which is a cool sound. That's nice. All right. The same thing happens when you do the other ones. And by the way, the parallelism doesn't bother me a bit. It just sounds cool. Yes, if I'm trying to write traditional, 4-part harmony a la Bach, then yeah, I'm going to get red marks all over my paper if I do this. But, we've moved on. Caught me. And then maybe put the 5th on the bottom. And I'm going to have this. So those are some ideas, I also found that I like doing this. If I do a second inversion triad and then start on the root and go opposite directions, it gets really interesting. You see, there's A half diminished. We have a G dominant, right, with no 3rd in it. And now we have an F sus, right? An F7, right? And this is a voice. You see this movement a lot in gospel music. And now G minor, A diminished. So you can find all kinds of cool sounds that way. Obviously, if I picked a different note, I'm going to get a whole other set of things. Let me see if I did it. I messed something. Good ear training, because your ear will tell you when, hey, wait a minute, that's not the scale. To stick to your guns is fun too. I'll keep wanting to change inversions. No, I'm practicing the second inversion. Anyway, there's a lot to work on there. Happy practicing.